Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be a lot of fun because we get to talk about probably one of the most frequently asked questions that I ever get on a daily basis, and that is string gauges. And the idea for this video came to me in a dream, and Babe Ruth visited me and he said, no, I'm just kidding. There's not a word of truth in that. But I did get a comment from one of you guys in one of my previous videos asking, if I love Les Paul so much, why don't I tour with them? And that's a great question, but the answer to that question is because I've never really had the means to play in a band where a Les Paul scale was appropriate for the job. But now here in 2.5 weeks, I will be flying into Chicago and rehearsing and touring, and I have a couple songs that I get to play in drop A sharp. And I think a Les Paul maybe can do the job for this go round. And so what does all that have to do with the title of this video? Well, we are going to be using the heaviest 6-string set that money can buy, or at least that I can find on the internet. That's right, everybody. I got 13s in drop A sharp on this guitar, and the string gauges are 13, 18, 30, 44, 56, and 72. We got the baritone string set on this old dinosaur of a guitar that is my 1978 Gibson Les Paul Custom. And over the last couple years, I've made a couple really popular videos, honestly, about Les Pauls and different tunings and string gauges. The two that come to mind are, can a Les Paul do drop B and can a Les Paul do drop A? And in both of those videos, I said yes, but it's not really the most feasible. Well, drop A sharp is literally in the middle of those two, right? And now for me, here in 2023, I would love to tour with a Les Paul, especially this old dinosaur, 1978 Gibson Les Paul Custom from the New Orleans era. I mean, come on, man. Who tours with those anymore? Not too many people, right? And like, I truly think I own one of the coolest guitars, like, on the internet, I guess we'll say. Like, you know, out of all the YouTubers, like, I'm obviously very biased, but like, this thing's so cool, dude, right? Like, this thing's awesome, and I'm so proud to own it, and I love it, right? And I'm not a collector, so it's like, dude, if you own something cool and you love it, take it out, man. Go play with it, dude. In order to get this guitar to work in drop A sharp, I really have to get some seriously heavy strings. And I've been experimenting prior to making this video with Les Pauls and string gauges for drop A sharp. Most recently, I had my Silverburst Les Paul Custom with 12 to 60s, the DDT, like the drop tune spider looking string gauges, you know what I'm talking about? I have 12 to 60s on my Gibson Les Paul Custom right now, but that still just wasn't doing it for me, especially on the low string. The low string just would waver way too far out of tune, and it just really wouldn't hold tuning all that well, and I just didn't feel all that comfortable with it, and I wouldn't feel necessarily that comfortable, especially going on tour and on stage where your adrenaline's pumping and, you know, you're just like going a million miles an hour. Now, we have a 72, and I think that might be sufficient enough. something I want to point out, take a look at the low A sharp string. That wind job isn't exactly the best. Give me a break. But what ended up happening was I had to unwind a portion of this string to fit it through the tuning peg because it's just way too thick. It wouldn't fit through the hip shot locking tuner. Yeah, check it out. Here's the original coating, the first layer that I had to peel off of my drop A sharp string right here, the 72. So I could have drilled it out, but I've seen YouTube videos where people just like unwind them, and I've been doing that for a couple years, like with my Squire Baritone Jazzmaster, where I've had to wind this very string set goes on my Baritone Jazzmasters, and I've had to unwind it to make it fit through the tuning peg. So like I'm pretty accustomed to doing that, but it's still kind of funny because like I'm not saying I'm very good at that. Like it's kind of silly looking, right? But hey, it stays in tune now and it works, even though it doesn't look the most professional, I guess we'll say. And speaking on how these strings play and stuff, like the rest of the strings, I've been speaking solely on the low A sharp, as that's the one, in my opinion, that's the most important. I mean, these things are pretty much bridge cables, dude. Like, there's so much tension, and there's just, like, no give. I mean, there's a little bit, but, like, dude, it's pretty gnarly, man. You know what I mean? Like, having a baritone set on a regular scale guitar, and in drop A sharp, which isn't that low. I mean, it is, but it really isn't when you think about it. Anyway, man, yeah, just having big giant bridge cables, it's pretty hard to play. Maybe not hard to play is the right word, but like there's not much give. It's pretty much just like just an insane amount of tension, and that's a good thing, especially for this genre of music where like you just got to just hammer it home with your right hand and, you know, it'll stay in tune pretty good. But as somebody who's always liked a little bit of give in their strings just for like, you know, articulation and you know, dynamics and expression, I guess we'll say, like this is pretty hard to play. And before anybody says, oh, well, Stevie Ray Vaughan played 13s, he did, but it was really only like the high E string was a 13. The rest were kind of pretty light in the middle. Do a little research on that. Stringjoy's got a pretty cool video on that. But all in all, everybody, yeah, dude, I got the heaviest string gauge that money can buy on the market without doing a custom set, and I think it sounds pretty good, and I think it works. I'm like 99% sure I'm going to take a Les Paul out on tour. Not sure if it's this one or one of the other ones that I own, but if and when I do, I will certainly be using something as big as this, maybe a little bit bigger, especially on the low string. Lee Malia, for example, plays an 80 gauge string, and that sounds absolutely monstrous. All right, buddy, that's going to do it for this video, man. Just a quick little discussion on string gauges and just talking about, you know, how I'm using them for drop A sharp on a Les Paul. Okay, everybody? So with that being said, if you want to subscribe, I really sincerely appreciate it. With that being said, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Later.